Is that promised exclusive. They have more than 37 years of experience heading the country's central bank, and they are unanimous in their support for a straight 5-year term for the Reserve Bank governor. In an extremely rare interview, Raghuram Rajan's 4 predecessors, C. Rangarajan, Bimal Jalan, Reddy and D Subbarao, reminisce their experience with the government as RBI governors. Latha started by asking Bimal Jalan how he always managed to maintain a very good relationship with North Block.
It has been extremely cordial and very good. Not that there were no differences of views, and tough decisions, as you said, had to be taken some time, and they were taken with the concurrence of the government. Because it's of utmost importance to keep in mind that the economy requires a action at times which is very difficult. But government is accountable for that to Parliament.
Yes.
And that if the monetary policy actions have to be taken, then it should be done with a view to augmenting whatever future or whatever prospects are there for our growth with financial stability.
No, that's certainly true, but Dr. Reddy, would you agree? Is it that relations tend to be as cordial as Dr. Jalan says?
No, you see, actually, all of us have independent views about independence.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think that itself shows that each governor has his own way of looking at independence. I think that's how it should be. There's no set pattern. It depends on the institutional context, the challenges, the individuals, and the styles. So I think it will be wrong to generalize about the relations.
But you said once that a central bank which always disagrees is obnoxious, and a central bank which always agrees is superfluous.
I agree with that.
So,
and I think the ministers also will agree with that.
no, but does it make for a healthy relation, or can it become an infructuous relation?
No, I'm sure it is healthy, because the purpose of creating a central bank and convincing people that we have handed over the most important matters of money and finance to a somewhat independent body. So it's the government which has created a central bank to convince the people that they are apolitical, they are longer term. Be assured the value of money is in safe hands, finance is safe hands. So it's been created by the central bank, by the government. So it is in the government's interest to convince the people that it is so. And it is in the interest of the central bank itself to show to the people that they are independent, but at the same time, as Dr. Jalan pointed out, in the ultimate analysis, who is accountable to the people?
Don't you think there are more cards in the finance ministry's hand? Both are autonomous institutions, but the number of trump cards in the finance ministry's hands are more than the number of cards in the Reserve Bank's hand. Or does the Reserve Bank have any trump card at all?
I don't understand what you mean.
No, I mean there are more ways in which they can arm twist you than you can perhaps.
Yeah. Certainly, there's no way that the excuse me. There's no way that the Reserve Bank can arm twist the government, but the government can arm twist the Reserve Bank. But it is up to the institution and the governor to stand up for what he believes should be done in pursuit of the Reserve Bank's objectives. I agree with what all my predecessors have said, which is that there are bound to be differences between the government and the Reserve Bank. Those differences are important in areas where the Reserve Bank is supposed to have autonomy. You know, if there are differences, for example, in development schemes, that doesn't matter. If there are differences, for example, even in exchange rate difference, that doesn't matter. But differences in monetary policy.
Sir, the amount of the fisc.
That's right. Okay. So in area where the Reserve Bank is supposed to have autonomy, monetary policy differences are very important. I agree with Dr. Rangarajan's point that there is the sovereign, the finance minister has to defend the Reserve Bank in the parliament, etc. Of course, the governor is not a member of parliament. But no finance minister has ever been asked, why did the Reserve Bank raise interest rates? And if indeed some member of parliament asks the finance minister, I think it'll be perfectly open and indeed appropriate for the finance minister to say that I have no answer to that. The Reserve Bank is an autonomous institution. I'm not accountable to the parliament for what an autonomous institution is doing. So while we recognize this autonomy of the sovereign, I think we also have to recognize that that very sovereign has to respect
Is 3 years too little? Should it be 4 years or 5 years? I mean, I'm sure you will all have an opinion on that.
No, sorry to interrupt, but it doesn't matter.
That's your answer, sir.
Yeah.
But Dr. Subbarao, do you think 3 years is enough? Should the minimum term be longer?
I think the minimum term should be longer. Well, from my own experience and the experience of what's happened with other governors, I would say that a governor should be given a straight short 5-year term, and it should also be a one-term non-renewable. I think that'll be good because having a governor for 10 years is too long, certainly too long in our system, and I always believed, especially from my long experience in the IAS, that the institution benefits from change in leadership. Even if an extremely competent leader is changed after 5 years by a less competent person, I still believe that change of leadership contributes positively to the institution. So I think we should have a 5-year term, non-renewable, so that it's very predictable, and 5 years is a long enough time for a governor to lay out his agenda, implement it, and also set the course for the successor governor.
Exactly. I wanted your view on it.
This used to be discussed even when we were drafting the plans. How long should it be? We have had 5-year plans.
Yes.
And asked why 5? As somebody remarked, 4 is too short and 6 is too long.
Okay.
Therefore, there is no particular way of defining what the tenure should be. But taking everything into account, if you entrust the responsibility to somebody, he or she must have the time to initiate changes and to bring about the desired changes to a large extent. And considering from that angle, 5 years appears to be the right thing.
The better thing.
And I also think that the appointment should be for the 5 years in the first instance itself.
Okay. And non-renewable? That would be genuinely perhaps independence promoting?
Because I have found that in non-renewable cases, it has always been slightly longer. Okay. I mean, I think it's, if it is 6 years, it should not be renewable.
No, it's very important. It's a very important issue.
In 5 years, I do not know. I'm not very sure. But 5 years must be given, and that's reasonable.
Reasonable. So
No. I mean, I think that there can be differences of view.
Yes.
I mean, but let us say that 5 years or something. But non-renewability, I don't agree with. I'm not saying that 5 years should be renewed for 5 years.
okay.
You see, what I'm saying is that it depends on the circumstances, it depends on what we are doing, and these are all institutions of our governance system, and it's of utmost important that we should not try to say that for 5 years you are the king and then you disappear.